and sent the text to me, trying to send it to his side chick. Gang, it's your girl Eboni Ebo coming to y'all with a story time. So I had told some of my followers that I wanted to be more consistent, put more material out to you guys, and let y'all get to know me a little better. Because even though I've always been transparent, I did one story time about teen pregnancy, and y'all, some of y'all really liked it. And when I asked for video ideas, I got a few DMs for about story times, and then one in particular, a young lady that knew me wanted me to do a story time on when I found out my husband had a baby on me. Yes, you heard it right, he had a baby on me. So just to clarify, not my current husband. I did get remarried, but my ex-husband. So anyway, before we get into the story, baby, y'all might want to go and grab you a glass of wine, because this is juicy. It's juicy. You might laugh, you might cry, I don't know, but it's juicy. So go get your grab of wine and go ahead and like this video, because yeah, just like it, because yeah, like I've been through it. Just like the video. So let's get into it. So back in, what year was that? 2012, because I had my son in 2012. I was married to my previous husband, and we're not gonna mention any names in this video, y'all. So we're not gonna drop any names. And just for the record, me and my ex-husband, we are, you know, we're cool, we're cordial. Like, we're more than cordial, we're cool. He's a great father, so I want to put that out there. He's a great father to my children. Never had an issue with him being, you know, a good dad. So he's a great father to my kids. But this is my truth. So I got married at a really young age. I think I was 20. I'm not sure. I was 20, 21. I got married. You know, we did okay for ourselves. We had our first house built through like the Habitat for Humanity, a Habitat's house. And I worked at a hospital for like 10 years. We did okay. You know, we struggled a little bit, but like the kids never knew we struggled with certain things. We did pretty good for ourselves to be young and in our own place. I was really young. And we got married, and we didn't have kids immediately. We went a while without having kids. We were married, we were together maybe 6 years before we had kids. So yeah, we were together for a while. I don't know the exact math, y'all, and I'm not finna sit here and try to figure it out, but we were together for years before we had kids. I came into the marriage with 2 kids, and he came into it with 1, and my stepdaughter did live with us. So anyway, I think because we were so young, like the marriage was really rocky. We went through a lot, like it was really rocky, and it was a lot of infidelity on both ends. You know, sometimes as women, you know, so for a while, like for years, I said that, like, so when I met my husband, I was this girl, like I partied every weekend. I was in the club like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like I was always in the club. I was hanging out with my friends. I had my group of friends. And we were kind of like popular or whatever. And like we would just hang out and stuff. So like when I got with my husband, I just stopped doing everything. Like I was in the house. Everybody would be like, "Where, Ebo?" Like I was in the house. I just thought, like, I fell off the face of the earth, because I felt like that was what a wife had to do. Like I watched my mom. I came from a 2-parent household, so my mom, I don't ever remember seeing my mom go to like a club or anything. So like I mimicked my mom. She was on her job for like 35 years. So I just felt like I needed to work, cook, clean, be in the house, you know. So I stopped hanging out. I kind of lost myself, and then I found out about some infidelity. So then I got back in the streets. But anyway, that's just to give y'all like a glimpse of the marriage. So my husband had a baby on me, right? So how I found out, okay, so y'all, I'm sitting at my mom's house, right? So let me back it up a little bit. My husband and I, we had just got back together. Like, y'all, we will always break up. Like, bro, I'm like legit being honest. I don't ever remember us having like well, we were together like 15 years, like literally 15 years. I was with my husband in the 12th grade, like 12th, when I was a senior in high school. I was with my husband. Graduated, my husband couldn't get off work. He was my husband and he couldn't get off work, but as soon as I walked off stage, got in the car, I called my husband. So this is how long we was together, since I was in high school. So, I don't know, like, I can't ever remember, like, us getting along, like, 1 week straight. Like, we would always fight. I'm trying to remember if we ever got along more than a week. Like, legit. I'm gonna say maybe there was a couple times we got along, like, for 2 weeks. But we were always bumping heads, always fighting. I just think we got in a relationship, like, way too young. I was straight out of high school. He was young. He was a little older than me, but he was still young also. So, because we would, like, always break up. And then I would always be like, because the house was in my name. So I would be like, get out. Get your stuff, get out, you know. Everything was always in my name, for an apartments, everything. Because he had a felony. So, you know, when you have, he had a felony. So, you know, when you, trying to get an apartment, you can't have a felony. So everything was always in my name. So I always felt like I had the upper hand. Like, and I would be like, if I got mad, I would be like, get out. Now that I'm older, I know that was not a wise thing to do, because when you're married, or even if you're in a relationship and you throw your husband or your spouse out, or your boyfriend, you know, you're giving them free game to do whatever they want to do. You know, even though as a woman, at the time we were like married. So at the time I felt like, it shouldn't be free game for you to go out and do what you wanted to do. You know, even I said get out. So anyway, we had got into a fight. We broke up. He left the house for, y'all, this has been so long ago. My son is about to be 10. So this had to be like 11 years ago. So, he left the house, I want to say maybe a week. I think that was the longest he had been gone, was a week. And normally when my husband and I would break up, like, we'll go maybe a day without talking, because he was a party animal too, still is. So he would like be enjoying himself for a little while. Then by like day 2, we both was missing each other. So I would call him, he would call me, you know, we'll be back together. So this time I noticed like he was like staying away. Like, you know, I wasn't hearing from him. Like, you know, we wasn't, you know, communicating. It wasn't no, oh, come back home, baby, I forgive you, none of that. You know, when normally we would get like right back together. So, when he did come around one day, like my husband, like I said, always been a good father. At this time, we didn't have any kids, but he accepted my kids. Y'all, sorry, but this one earring keep falling out. So if you notice I got on one earring, this one keep falling out. Tried to be a little cute for y'all, but anyway. So he did check on the kids. Like at the time, my youngest daughter, he was really in love with my youngest daughter, because when I met my husband, I was like a month pregnant, like literally 4 weeks pregnant, and me and her dad were like broken. Like as soon as he found out I was pregnant, he was he was gone. So my husband is the only father she knows. So he was really, really in love with her. He was in love with my oldest daughter too, but you know, it's kind of like he was there when she was born, like everything. So he was really, really in love with my youngest daughter, and he still does love her. And so you know, he came to check on her, check on the kids, check on his daughter, because anytime I would put him out, I would never put his daughter out. So that's my daughter as well. So I would never put her out. I kept her. So he came to check on the kids, and I remember one day he came by, and we were getting ready to go to the Soul Circus, me and the kids, and I was like, you want to go with us? Because we always did family things. We were very like close knit when it came to stuff like that. We traveled, we took trips, we always did things with the kids. And that's one thing my kids, you know, that we talk about, they remember stuff. They do have good memories. They remember stuff like that we always did. Things like that as a family. So I remember I talked to him, I was like, you want to go to the Soul Circus with us? And I want to say he went. Y'all remember the Soul Circus, right? I want to say he went, and then when we left the Soul Circus, like I wanted to go back home and like us chill, because this was what I was used to. Like we'll fight for a little while, then you come back home. But he was like, all right, I'm about to go or whatever. So I was like, like, you know your man, you know. I'm like, okay, this different. Like, what's up? You know, and then I started noticing, well, he was always a cheater. I'm just gonna give it to you. If you ever see this video, you know you was a dog. He was a cheater, but like in the beginning, like I was oblivious. I didn't know he was a cheater. So when I started paying attention to stuff, then I started noticing he was moving different with his phone. So, you know, I'm talking to my best friend. I'm like, it's somebody else. I know he's talking to somebody else. It's somebody else. So then, I kept asking him, are you talking to somebody else? Are you talking to somebody else? And he kept saying, no, he just tired of us fighting because we were constantly fighting. He was like, I'm just tired of us fighting. I think if I stay away, you know, we can fix this. So me being like dumb, I'm like, okay, yeah, we are always fighting. So I'm believing him. I'm like, yeah, he's probably telling the truth because we always fighting. We do need to get this right. You know, we need to get this together. So, you know, we would like, you know, we would like, he would come around. I want to say it was like a week. So he would come around. We was like sexually involved. Then he would leave or whatever. And I don't even know where he was staying. I think he told me he was staying at his sister's, but he probably wasn't. So at this point, I'm talking to my best friend. I'm like, I know it's somebody else. I know it's somebody else. So eventually, like a week later, he ended up coming home. And we're trying to get back, you know, in the groove. So he had been home like maybe 2 weeks. So he was gone that whole week. And then he came home. Maybe he hadn't been home maybe like 3 weeks, I want to say. So one day I was at my mom's house, right, y'all? So my sister was in town. God bless her soul. She died in May. My sister was in town, so I was at my mom's house with my sister. We just hanging out. My husband, he told me he was always there. He had a friend house that he was always go to, and they would like gamble and stuff. They would play cards, gamble. So he would always be over there. So I'm like, okay, that's where he at. So he told me, matter of fact, his name was Wayne. He was like, I'm at Wayne. He was like, I'm going to Wayne house. We're gonna be gambling or whatever. But my husband, he would always come to my parents' house too. Like my husband is still very close to my parents. Like he goes over there when I'm not over there. So he was like, I'll be over there later. So okay, I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm hanging out with my sister. I wanted to spend time with my sister, you know, because she lived in Atlanta. So he had texted me. He was like, I'm on my way. So I'm like, okay. So right after he texted me, no, he called me. He said, I'm on my way. So right after he texted me, he talked to me, I'm sorry, I got a text. And the text said, I'm finna be around her. I'll call you when I get back out. I'll never forget, y'all. So the text said, I'm finna be around her. I'll call you when I get back out. So my mom has a couch in her room. So me and my sister sitting on the couch. I didn't want to tell my sister. You know how sometimes you kind of like, I hid stuff because, you know, like we'll forgive people, but our family won't. So I kind of like, I didn't like go into details with my family about what was going on. That day I was already feeling like kind of sick. Like my stomach was queasy. Like I wasn't like feeling like myself, right? So, he said, I'm finna be around her. I'll call you when I get back out. So I guess he realized that he had missed and sent the text to me, trying to send it to his side chick. So my heart immediately fell in my chest, literally, y'all. I was like, oh my God. I had never experienced anything like that with him. I knew he had cheated before, but for your husband, this is my husband, to miss and text me trying to text someone else, and that means that this young lady knew about me and she was okay with it, because if you're saying I'm finna be around her, I'll call you when I get back out, that means that she knows about me and she's okay with it. And that means that this is something that y'all used to doing, you know? So I didn't even call him. I didn't text him back. I knew that he knew he missed to text me. So he texted me, he said, he didn't want to talk in front of my parents or whatever, or my sister, so he told me to come outside. So when he got to my parents' house, so at this point, I'm in tears. I already don't feel good. I'm in tears. I'm bawling, like I'm crying. So he's like, come outside. I need to talk to you. So I'm like, damn, well, damn, is he finna, everybody like, what the fuck you need to talk to me about? You know, he never tried to apologize, like, oh, I missed the text you. He never said sorry. He never tried to explain nothing. He was just like, come outside. I need to talk to you. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I know this nigga ain't about to break up, you know, our marriage over no side chick. Like, okay, so I get in, he told me get in his car. I get in his car, and he was like, so mind y'all, back it up. Remember I told y'all I asked him, was he talking to somebody that week that he was gone, because I felt like he was, because how he was moving, right? So mind you, that whole week he kept telling me no, he wasn't talking to anybody. He just wanted us to get it right. So he said, I met this girl when we were broke up. He want to keep using this when we were broke up, but we're not broke up because we're married. You know what I mean? Like, that don't give you an excuse to, even though I feel like, even though now I know, like, don't throw your man out there, you're giving him free reign, but I still feel like that don't give you an excuse to do what you want to do. Because I didn't, you know? So he was like, well, I met this girl when we were broke up, and she say she pregnant. So y'all, mind you, me and him don't even have any kids at this point. Like, we don't have any kids. I had got pregnant like a few months before that, but I had a miscarriage. Like, I had to have a DNC and everything. So we don't have any kids. We weren't really trying to have any kids at that point. And you telling me that your little side bitch pregnant, mind you, I find out about the side bitch and I find out she pregnant on the same day. So y'all, just, I'm telling you, like, I do not wish this pain on my worst enemy. Like, me and my friend, we laugh about it. Me and my best friend laugh about it, not because, like, I was smoking Newports. I was so stressed out, y'all. I was on the porch. No, I was not even a Newport. I was smoking a 305. I was so stressed out. So, and at the time, me and my best friend was mad at each other about something so stupid, so we wasn't talking. And I was like, oh my God, I can't go in here and tell my sister. I can't go in here and tell my mama. I'm very emotional, y'all. I'm crying. I'm boohoo crying. Do y'all know what this man told me? So he backed out the driveway, because we sitting in the car. He backed out the driveway because he didn't want my parents or the kids to walk out and see me crying. So my mom has like a really big neighborhood. So we rode around the neighborhood for a couple times. And he was like, man, what you doing all that crying for? Like, he wasn't remorseful. He didn't say sorry. He was like, I was like, shh, she pregnant. I was like, who is she? He was like, oh, you don't need, he would never tell me her name or anything. He was like, oh, you don't need to know all that. Mind you, I'm the wife. I'm the wife. He was like, you don't need to know all that. I was like, are you sure she pregnant? I was like, how you know? Because, you know, girls play games. He was like, yeah, I seen the test, she pregnant, whatever. And he was like, I gotta be there for my baby because my daddy wasn't here for me. So I'm like, what that mean? You leaving me? Like, I'm confused. Like, what are you saying? He was like, I gotta be there for my baby. You know, he's like, I ain't gonna be there. I'm not gonna be the type of daddy that my daddy was. You know, he's like, I gotta be there for my baby. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What are you saying? Like, y'all, imagine taking all this in one day. All of this. So the text message, find out about the side chick. Then you find out she's pregnant. Then your husband, who you don't have any kids with at the time, is telling you, I got to be there for my baby. So then he turns around and says, mind you, he still never said sorry. I'm nothing. You know, he want to keep saying we was broke up. He was like, man, what you doing all that crying for? Man, I'm finna go. He's like, man, I ain't with all that crying shit. You doing all that crying, man, I'm finna go. And he basically like put me out his car and he left. He literally left. So I'm like trying to pull it together. I walked in my mama's garage. I'm in a snotting, bawling, trying to pull it together before I walked back in the house because I knew they was gonna know something was wrong with me. And I had to put on this face. You know, I didn't want to just abruptly leave because I was hanging out with my sister and she would know something wrong. Like, he literally left, y'all, and I did not hear from him. Any morning night, he came home that night, maybe, I want to say like 1 o'clock in the morning. Didn't hear from him at all. I can't make this up, y'all. So I went back in the house. I pulled myself together, went back in the house. I hung out with my sister a little bit. But mind you, I had not already told my sister I wasn't feeling good. So I hung around maybe like an hour and a half or so. And I was like, I'm going to head home. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Because, you know, she was here for a few days. So I was like, I'm going to head home. I'll see y'all tomorrow. So I got home. I was like, I got to call my best friend. Me and her weren't talking. Okay, there go the other one. Anyway, me and her weren't talking at the time. So I was like, I got to call my best friend. I'm blowing her phone up. I'm blowing her phone up. I'm calling one of my other friends. I think it was, yeah, Sasha. Sasha, if she's watching this, I'm calling Sasha. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. But Sasha and her husband were out with the kids. And, you know, you don't want to be selfish, so she couldn't talk to me at the time. So I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm like, I got to call Ryan. My best friend, I'm like, I know we mad at each other, but I got to call her. So I called Ryan, and I think she didn't answer. And I texted her, I was like, call me ASAP. So I'm telling her about it, and she had been through the same thing. I'm not going to go into her story, but she had been through something similar. So I'm crying on the phone with her about it. I'm talking to her about it. We hadn't talked, but she was like, immediately, she was right back there for me. Like, we picked back up like nothing had, you know, ever happened. Because when you best friends, you know, if your best friend hurt, you're going to be there. So I'm snotting, I'm balling on the phone. I'm steady looking at the clock. I'm keep looking at the clock. I'm like, he ain't even tried to call me. He ain't tried to text me. You know, he ain't home. Like, we had a rule in my house, like, unless we're at the club, like, you had to be in the house before 12 o'clock. Like, that was the rule in our marriage for both of us. Unless we was out at the club, we had to be home by 12. So it's past 12 o'clock. He's still not home. No call, no text, nothing. So he came home and he slept on the couch. Didn't even come in the room. Still didn't come say sorry. He just went to sleep on the couch. So y'all know the whole time I'm like, oh, he at her house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he at her house. I know he done called her. Probably like, oh, how about I missed the text her trying to text you? Because clearly she's okay with this based on the text, right? So I'm the whole time in my mind, I'm like, oh, I know he at her house. I know he at her house. I'm at this point, I don't know what to do because I ain't never been in this type of situation. And I couldn't believe he just went up front and went to sleep. So y'all, by that point, my eyes are like so puffy. I'm emotionally drained. My kids are starting to pick up something wrong. I just went to bed. I was like, I cannot take no more. I went to bed. That was the worst. It literally felt like my heart was in my stomach. That was the worst pain. One of the worst pains besides losing my sister that I have ever experienced in my life. I literally would not wish that on anyone, any wife to go through that. So the next day, you know, I think that was a Sunday, he still ain't saying much. So I'm like, I don't know this. I still don't know her name. I don't know anything about her. He still ain't said much, still ain't say sorry, nothing. So I'm like, okay. So I think maybe like a week went by. At that point, I'm not even talking to him. I'm just like, I don't have nothing to say. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't work. I'm already sick. I couldn't even talk to him. Like, my body was going through something. Because I'm going to tell y'all why. So my body was going through something. I don't even know why. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. So a week went by before we ended up talking. And he was like, what's her name? I mean, I said, what's her name? I said, like, I can't believe you did this. So he kept wanting to say, we was broke up, right? So I'm like, I just can't, like, I can't believe you. Like, I can't believe you did this. And I was like, all the times I kept asking you, was you talking to somebody else? Because I saw you moving different. You kept telling me no, but in all actuality, you really were. So he's still like, my ex-husband, y'all, he can be very nasty. Like, he has I can have a bad attitude and his can be 10 times worse. So like, and when he shut down, and it's like, that's why I tell people now, my marriage now is so completely different because my current husband, I won't say we don't fight and argue, as we do, but if we do, it's because of me. He don't like to fight, he don't like to argue, he's a communicator, but my husband now, he's 10 years my senior. So I don't know if it's because he's older, but my husband now, he's like a communicator. So, you know, we're going to talk stuff out. Versus my ex-husband, we never talked stuff out. It was always, fuck you, da-da-da. He used to call me bitches. Like, y'all, I used to put up with so much stuff. Like, my husband now wouldn't dare call me a bitch. I just can't even believe all the stuff I used to put up with. But, like, I was so young and impressionable and weak. And I hadn't been with him so long. Like I said, we was together 15 years. So, he finally told me her name. I'm not going to say her name because we're still cool to this day. So he told me her name. He just told me her first name and he told me her nickname. So me and my best friend, we doing some investigating. So this back in the time where Facebook basically was really on the computer. So I done got on the computer. I'm going through his friends. It's my job. He would never let me be his friend on Facebook. Like, he never wanted us to be friends on Facebook. Like, my ex-husband was a dog, y'all. A dog. Like, we would be friends and he would delete me. Like, he'll take the smallest argument to delete me and be like, I don't want to be your, like, it would be something so silly, but you would do it because you didn't want me on your Facebook friends list. So we went years without being Facebook friends. So I was like, let me go through his friends list. So I typed in her name. So, you know, when you open a friends list, you could type in her name. I was telling my best friend, I'm like, I'm finna check this. So I typed in her name, just the nickname. Lo and behold, boom, she popped up. So you can't be friends with your wife, but you friends with her. So I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm being stalkerish. I'm going through the girl pictures. I'm looking to see what he done. I'm looking through the likes to see if he liking it. I'm going back. Like, I'm going back to see, like, if I could tell, like, how long they been talking. So now that I know her, you know, her name, her Facebook name, I'm going through his pictures to see what pictures she's like. You know, I'm being an investigator. So I'm telling my best friend, you know, so I'm going through the pictures. I see, like, I want to say, I think this was in February. Hold on, so February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, December. So yeah, I think this was around March. This was March or April, right? So I'm seeing he commenting on her pictures back in February. So I'm like, February. And I want to say in January also. I know my birthday is in January. Her birthday is in January as well. I want to say he was on her pictures in January. So I'm like, well, we was together, you know. Like, I hadn't put him out around that time. You know, we would have our fights, but I hadn't put him out. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at the dates. I'm like, oh, okay. So you been talking to this girl. And then I noticed, like, so at this point, I think I want to say I had my first son at 25, yeah. I was 26. I was 26 when I had my first son. So she was like 19 at that point. She was like 19. She was either 19 or 20. She was way younger than me. So I'm like, really? Like, and she looked like a little girl. And I ain't gonna lie, she's pretty. I tell her that to this day. She's a pretty girl. She's a really pretty girl. Small, petite little girl. And I was just like, you know, I ain't no hate. Like, anybody know me, I ain't no hater. So I told my best friend, I was like, she's pretty. You know, she was a naturally pretty girl. Didn't need no makeup or nothing. You know, but I was just like surprised because like she's really, I want to say she probably like 4'11". She was little, like, you know me, I got hips and, you know, all that. She didn't have all that, but she was a pretty girl. So I was just surprised. It was like we were on two completely different ends of the spectrum. So I'm like, well, dang, he must don't like me no more. You know, this when insecurity come in. You know, I'm like, well, dang, he must be don't like me no more. You know, how I must be I got too big for him. Because this girl, she probably was maybe like a size 5 or something. I don't know. She was little. And I'm probably like a 12, 13 at that time. So I'm like, you know, I'm being insecure. Like, well, what did I do? Well, what made him? You know, as women, we do that. I don't know, man. I feel like all women have been through that, but if you're not real enough to admit it, I am. So I'm looking through her pictures at this point, like, y'all, I'm stalking her page every day to see, like, what he commenting, what he's saying, you know? So it just, like, we kind of got back on point. I'm going to tell y'all what made us get back on point. So remember, I told y'all I was feeling sick. So, come to find out, I was pregnant too. So you got 2 girls pregnant at the same time. My son, Kaden, he was not playing at all. Like, I was shocked to find out I was pregnant. We wasn't trying. Like, we hadn't been together for years. We weren't trying to have another baby. He was not playing. So I was shocked to find out I was pregnant. So I couldn't even, y'all, I did not enjoy my pregnancy with Kaden. I couldn't enjoy my pregnancy with Kaden at all. Like, you could look on pictures and it was like a fake smile. Like, I couldn't enjoy my pregnancy because she pregnant too. So her baby, I'm due in December. She was due like at the end of November. So when I found out her due date, I'm like, hold on, baby, this ain't adding up. Like, we was like a month apart. So I'm like, this ain't adding up. Like, I'm like, hold on. You know, me ain't kind of stupid. So I'm like, how this your baby? Or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, we had heard like 2 or 3 different due dates. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But the baby ended up being born like November 17th. So a couple times I called them texting. Like, she knew about me. She was still, she knew we was trying to work our marriage out. They was still texting each other. Y'all, I ended up finding out, like, he had done been, like, so I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months went by. He acted like he hated her. Like, a nigga will play in your face and act like they hate a bitch in your face, right? He acted like he hated her, like he didn't want nothing to do with her. And at one point, he really did get to that point. But when he was doing it at that moment, he was still talking to her. Like, I would go through his phone, I would see they were still texting. And I'm like, at this point, like, in the beginning, I wasn't blaming her because I was like, well, I don't know what he told her. Then I was like, well, she got to know because he telling her he'll call me when he get back from around me. Then I was like, he told me that, oh, let me back up. He told me that he wasn't talking to her anymore. She texted him that she was pregnant. And that he was like, well, I'm finna be around my wife. I'll text you when I get back out. That they hadn't spoken anymore. So, that was a lie. But anyway, so he acted like he don't talk to her no more. So I'm looking at his phone. I'm seeing that he's still talking to her. Come to find out, he had took her money for a car seat and stroller. He telling me he ain't doing nothing. But at this whole time, so I'm gonna be straight up with you. Like, I still talk to the child. Like, I felt like my husband, I was like, if this your baby, you have to take care of that baby. Like, I can't stand when, if I'm choosing to take you back and I'm choosing to accept you, then I have to accept your baby. So I never was like, oh, don't do, I'm telling him like, you need to buy stuff for the baby. You got to be there for the baby. And in my face, he's like, oh, I don't, like acting like he can't stand her, y'all. That's what niggas do, that he acting like he can't stand her, but meanwhile, you still texting her. So I would say, we are like, y'all, my whole pregnancy, I couldn't let it go. Like, I was miserable. Like, I could not let it go, y'all. I was embarrassed. I hid it from a lot of people. And even though the dates didn't match up to me, when I would tell people, like, he had another girl pregnant, I would always be like, oh, he got her pregnant when we broke up. Knowing in the back of my mind, I done seen he commenting on the pictures. I'm looking at the due date. No, you got this girl pregnant when we was together. But because I didn't want to look stupid and I knew my stupid ass still wanted to stay with him, I'm telling people, oh, we was broke up when he got her pregnant. When all actuality, we were not. He got her pregnant when we were together. So, probably when I was like, I want to say 6 or 7 months, they really did get to the point where they didn't like each other. Like, well, I won't say, I don't know. I would never know the truth. He got one story, she got one story. So I end up eventually talking to her. And she told me, like, I didn't text him that I was pregnant. She was like, he bought the pregnancy test. He brought it to my house. He was excited. She was like, he was so excited that I was pregnant. I was like, so my job, I'm pregnant. I'm so stressed out. I'm like, can you imagine being pregnant and having to hear all this? So she was like, yeah, he bought the test. He was excited. She was like, yeah, I want to say she said she was wrong. But I'm gonna tell y'all why I forgave her. Number one, she was like 19, 20. She was young. She made a mistake, And I've been young before, and I made mistakes. And I would be lying to you. I would never do it again. At this age I am now, I would never do that. Like, and I've been stopped doing it. But I done talked to somebody, man, before when I was young, 19. You know what I'm saying? You be stupid. Like, you make dumb mistakes. And I felt like she made a mistake. You know what I mean? And I forgave her, even with her still texting him when she knew we was together. The texting did eventually stop. Like, they would only communicate through me. So, it was crazy. It was weird. Like, it was weird. So I remember she had the baby. She didn't call me. She called, I think her or her mom called him. And I felt like my husband would act like he couldn't like her because I think he thought that would make me feel good. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think that he would act like he wasn't excited because that would make me feel good. Like, he saw that it was hurting me. I can't say that he did eventually come around and he cared about how I felt. And he did eventually realize he made a mistake. Like, he regretted it. He regretted it. He was like, this is the biggest mistake I ever made. Because, yeah, you out cheating, you having fun. But the girl, I'm not trying to put her down, but she was young, so she wasn't on my level. Like, she ain't have nothing going on like I had going on. He kind of realized, like, then, I don't know this, but he was like, well, she a dirty girl. And to me, she's not dirty. I mean, she's not to me now, but I don't know, I don't know the fully, but he was just saying, like, this was the biggest mistake I ever made. And, so, like, come to find out, me stalking her, come to find out, like, we knew some mutual people. So, I really wanted a girl. I wanted another girl. I really wanted another girl, right? So, she found out it was a girl. He didn't want another girl. He wanted a boy. He was like, I don't care. I don't want no girl. And then maybe like 2 weeks later, I found out it was a boy. He was so excited. He was so excited. Like, he loved his boys. He was so excited I was having a boy. He posted it on Facebook. So I think it was like some jealousy started to grow. You know, we had a huge baby shower. I was definitely more fortunate than her. Like, my parents, like, we grew up on 2 different sides of the track. I will say that. So, you know, I was a little more fortunate than her. As far as my background, where I came from, my parents and stuff. Like, I remember her mom worked at the McDonald's on Dunn Avenue. So, yeah, so not to make this so long. So she had the baby. They called him, and I was like, he told me, I was like, okay, well, if we're going to be together, we got to have open communication. You can't lie to me about nothing. You got to tell me the truth. When she texted me, I need to know, you know, like, it had got to that point. You know, at this point, I'm like, I could leave. I chose not to leave, but back then I'm like, I can't leave. I'm pregnant. You know, it wasn't planned. And a lot of people, they be like, well, did you try to get pregnant? Because I was like, no, like, you added up. Like, I literally, like, I was pregnant when I found out she was pregnant. I just ain't know I was pregnant. You know, I was probably like 2 weeks pregnant or something. I didn't even know that I was pregnant when I found out about her. I was already pregnant. It was too late. So I'm just telling him, like, yeah, you know, you need to go see the baby. You need to go see. He was like, nah, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So I'm like, you know, that ain't right. That ain't right. So he told me he didn't go to the hospital. I still don't know to this day if he went to the hospital, but he told me he didn't. And I was like, so at this point, he just got his CDL license. He had, you know, started driving trucks. So I had my baby. Of course, she saw I had my baby. He was there. You know, he wouldn't put my baby down. He was constantly posting pictures of my baby. So before she had the baby, I went myself and bought her clothes. And she'll tell you this. I bought clothes, diaper bag. I bought her a lot of stuff. So me still stalking her. I went on her page. I seen like the baby had on some of the outfits that I bought. Because I wanted to see what the baby looked like. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I wanted to see, do this baby look like my husband? Because my son, like, I always thought I was going to have like this little chocolate drop baby. Because my ex-husband, he's dark skinned. His daughter's dark skinned. And, you know, I'm like, you know, I consider me dark skinned. Some people say I'm not. But, so I'm like, I'm going to have this cute little chocolate drop baby. And my son, all my kids took color from my daddy, who is red. So they not red, but they not near as dark as me. So my son came out, he had like his daddy got had a nice gray hair. So my son came out, he had like this good hair. He was pretty. He was a pretty little boy. And, so I'm like, oh, her baby dark skin, like, she got the chocolate drop. So here I go depressed again. Like, after I had my son, I went through postpartum depression so bad. I couldn't even be happy. Like, I didn't want to hold him. He was there. He was holding up one leg. My mom was holding up one leg when I pushed him out. Like, I ain't even want to be bothered with my son, y'all. But then I came to find that was postpartum depression. Like, I didn't want to hold him. Like, I couldn't be happy. Like, I felt like they stole my joy. I still feel like that to this day. They stole my joy. Eventually I came around, of course, and I love my son to death. But I would go on her page, and I was like, oh, the little girl, she was she was a chocolate drop. So I'm like, well, how she get the chocolate drop and I can't get the chocolate drop? And, you know, I was like, oh, because my husband's dark skinned. I was like, well, that's his baby because the baby was dark skinned. But the dates just still didn't add up to me. So because we knew a few other mutual people, and it's no shade, no tea, because like I said, we're still cool to this day. We're very cordial. And I still talk to the child. So I just started hearing stuff like, you know, she kind of fast or whatever. And I mean, most of us was at 19, 20 years old. Most of us was fast, you know. So I was like, people was like, I don't know. So my husband ended up going on the road. And I just didn't think it was fair. Like, I was like, anybody tell you, like, I was a stand-up woman. I was there for the baby. I would go pick her up. I would polish her nails. I would, you know, I would have both of them in the high chair. I still got pictures, videos, everything. I would have her in the high chair right here, my son in the high chair right here. Because mind y'all, they only a few, like 4 weeks apart, 3.5 weeks apart. So I be feeding her, feeding him. I got pictures of them in the tub together. Like, I treated her like she was my own. Like, her mother felt comfortable. If her mother would let me come get her and she was the side chick, that lets you know that I treated her child well. Like I would go get her from her mama house. I bought her clothes. Anytime she said she needed anything, I'm not gonna say her name, she needed anything, I made sure she had it, because at this time my husband, he's gone on the road. He's a long distance truck driver. So I'm your wife, I'ma stand up, I'ma stand in your place. I decided to stay with you, so I gotta be here for this baby. So this went on for a long time, like a year. So I'll never forget, I was just like, you know what? These dates don't add up to me, and you cheated on me. Like I just couldn't let it go, y'all. I couldn't let it go. Like we would fuss and argue. Like we argued so much about this. I couldn't let it go because I'm like, I worked at OBGYN. So I have an OBGYN background. So I'm like, these dates don't add up. Like you cheated on me. You got this girl pregnant when, you know, we was together. And he kept swearing, no, I didn't. I swear to God, I didn't. So I kept pressuring him for a DNA test. He would avoid it. He avoided a DNA test for almost a year, like right at a year. He avoided because I told him, I said, if this DNA test come back that this is your baby, I'm leaving. So he would use the excuse like he's a truck driver. You know, he would avoid it. So I never remember one day what really pushed me over the edge. I was at work. He was from the road. So he picked all the kids up from daycare, and the baby from his grandma, my baby from with his grandma. And he had all the kids home, and he was like, I'm gonna go pick up, you know, the stepchild, the little baby. So I was like, okay, you need to see her. So I think that was his first time interacting with her. I was like, you need to see her, that's good. So I'll never forget, y'all, I walked in the house. They was all sitting up front, my baby. My daughter was holding my baby at the time, and he was holding the other baby. And I walked in the door, and he was like playing with her. Because mind you, in my face, he would act like he didn't want nothing to do with her. But I guess I snuck up on him. I wasn't really sneaking, but I caught him by surprise. So he was like playing with her, like he had her up in the air. He was playing with her. And y'all, I just started bawling. I was boo-hoo crying. Even though this is what I wanted. I wanted him to have a relationship with his child because he had met her. At that point, she was like 6 months. He hadn't seen her. So he was just sending the money. He was like, he was sending the money. So I was buying the stuff with his money. He was, you know, being supportive financially, but he wasn't being supportive emotionally, physically. So when I walked in the door, I was like bawling. I was in tears. I couldn't take it. Like I was like, oh my, that was my first time seeing him interact with her. Like, again, here go my heart in my stomach. So I remember just going in my room, shutting the door, just bawling my eyes out, and he ended up taking her home. They lived literally around the corner from us. They literally lived around the corner from us. So at that time, so I was mad. I was like, dang, I shouldn't have did. I was mad at myself because I'm like, he felt like he couldn't bond with her because he thought I was upset or whatever. So then he went back into, so he didn't get to do the DNA. We was supposed to do the DNA test that day, and he didn't get to do it because I got so upset. This was when Walgreens had came out with a DNA test you can buy in the store, right? It was like $40, and then you mail it off with like a $200 money order to get a DNA test done. So I just couldn't get over it, and I felt stupid. I was like, nah, you know, I was posting her picture on Facebook, and people was beginning to, some people like my family, close friends, I told, you know, this was my ex-husband's daughter. I was like, this is his daughter. But people on Facebook, they was like, who is that child? Like, and I would, you know, I would be embarrassed. And I was like, nah, you got to take this DNA test. I'm like, I put pressure on his neck. At this point, she's almost 1 year old. And they had called him to pay for the 1-year-old birthday party. And he did. He paid for it. He went in. I can't remember if he paid for the whole thing. But he went in with her. I got the little outfit. It was like a little tutu. I got her. You remember when tutus used to be popular? Tutus with the little t-shirt and the bows and stuff. And it was at some place on, that was when they had like some little event center on Dunn Avenue or whatever. It was like a Chuck E. Cheese, but it was like black owned. So the party was there. And so I was always getting her, right? So I had got her. And he was like, okay, we're going to do the test today. So he had went and got the test. We didn't tell the mom. We didn't tell the mom that we did the test. We just did the test behind her back because I was like, well, you done waited this long. You know what I'm saying? I felt like he waited too long. You know, he waited too long to do it. And I kept saying, well, I wonder why she won't put him on child support. I kept being like, I was like, why she won't put you on child support? She would never put him on child support or whatever. And he was a truck driver. He made good money. because he was always so nasty to her. Like, he was mean to her. Like, he had really got to the point where he couldn't stand her. So he did the test that day. I'll never forget. He swabbed the baby mouth. It was like 2 sticks. So he had to swab her twice. And then I helped him with it. He put it in the envelope. Then he swabbed himself. And he did it in front of me. You know, he did it in front of me. So I won't think like he done went and swabbed the dog or some shit like that. So he did the test in front of me. We sent it off. And at the time they said it was like a 2-day turnaround. So on day 2, I'm like, what's up? On day 2, just so happens to be the day after her birthday party. So on day 2, I'm like, what's up? Like, what's up? And he kept saying, no, I ain't got nothing yet. I ain't heard nothing yet. I ain't heard nothing yet. I ain't heard nothing yet. So I'm like, nigga, you lying. So at this point, I'm thinking he lying. So I'm like, you got them results back. And it's because I was serious. Like, I was out the door. I was like, if this is your baby, I'm done. So I'm like, what's up? Like, you got the results back. He kept saying, no, I ain't get him yet. I ain't get him yet, y'all. So I'll never forget, me and my mom was at Bells. Like, probably 10 minutes later after that last conversation we had on the phone, he called me. He was like, I told you that wasn't my baby. I told you. He was like, check your email. I still got it to this day. I'm going to see if I can post it without posting her information. I still got the results in my phone. Y'all, all this time, all this heartache, all this money, all this sleepless nights, all the damage it did to my marriage, all the tears I cried, all my kids seeing this, we had to have a sit down and have a talk with the kids. You know, like, daddy messed up, he got another child. Like, my kid is going through all this. Do y'all know that was not even his baby? All this time. So, I'm calling her. At this point, he don't want nothing to do with her. I'm calling her. She won't answer. So, she was really popular on social media. So, I go on her page. I'm like, hey, call me. No. I'm sorry. I'm calling her. It wasn't that she wasn't answering. Her phone was off. But I see she was on social media, so she must have been on social media from Wi-Fi. So I went under her post. I was like, call me ASAP. We got these DNA test results. So she deleted my comment. And she didn't call me. So I was like, some kind of way, I don't know if we was messaging through Instagram. Or I don't know, I can't remember if we had a conversation on the phone that day or we talked and I was like, this not his baby. I was like, we did a DNA test and this is not his baby. And I sent a copy of it. And matter of fact, we was on the phone. And she was like, no, that is his baby. Y'all lying. Because we didn't tell her we did it. She was like, y'all lying. Y'all swapped somebody else. And I was like, no. I said, well, you know, because it has the breakdown, like the genetic break. It has everything on there. Like, it has the whole breakdown. Like, it had her name. Like, it had everything. I was like, well, no, if you feel like we did that, you know, I said, that copy wouldn't stand up in court. Like, it didn't, like, you had to pay an additional, like, $100. They saved your sample, so you had to pay additional $100 for it to save up in court. But they saved your DNA for it to stand up in court, but they saved your DNA. She was like, oh, y'all fabricated it. Like, she was basically like saying we lying. I was like, no, well, we'll give you the copy. You can take her to the doctor and you can do a DNA test yourself and see that her DNA matches what's on this test. Like, we really did do it. Like, I wouldn't lie about nothing like that. Like, and it matched him. I was like, better yet, we could do one through the courts. So she was like, y'all dead ass wrong. Y'all tested my baby without asking me. I'm like, well, why should it matter? Like, if that's supposed to be his child as a mother, we know these are our kids. We push them out of our vagina. We have a C-section. We know these are our babies. So as a father, they don't know. And I, even to this day, like, I don't give a damn if my husband tests my kids because women are scandalous. So men, they don't know that if they, like, you know what I mean? They don't honestly, truly know. Like, and all this time I'm thinking it's his baby because she was dark skinned like him. And even though she didn't have any physical features, she had a good grade of hair. So I was like, oh, she got good hair like my baby. And she was dark skinned, but she didn't have any physical features of him. So the whole time, I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was his too. And she was just like, y'all shouldn't have did that. And I'm like, well, I disagree. I said, well, we can agree to disagree on that, you know. And she was like, you know, I asked the older person opinion. She's like, you older. She was like, y'all, they say you dead ass, because, you know, I'm older than her. She was like, you dead ass wrong. Y'all should have told me before y'all tested my baby. So I'm like, okay, you feel how you feel, and we feel how we feel. So come to find out, then she messaged me back. She was like, I knew it wasn't his baby. I just didn't know how to tell y'all. She was like, I looked at her one day and I knew she looked like some other guy. And she was just like, I didn't know how to tell y'all. She was like, I didn't know how to tell you. And I was like, you know what? You wrong. You know what I'm saying? I said, you know, I sympathized with her a little bit because she was young. But then I said, you know, you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, my feelings, I still love her to this day. Like, I loved her. And her mother will tell you, like, I loved her. I never treated her any different. I loved her. Like, we were really, really close. I would take her to my mama's house with me. Like, people would think I was crazy. They was like, how you accept this baby? Like, I have both car seats in the back seat because they was, like, weeks apart. I loved her. So I was truly hurt. Like, I was truly hurt. So we went, like, probably a year. Like, we didn't hear from her again. Never heard from her again. And one day I reached out to her. I saw her on social media. And I seen she was, like, turning 2 or something. And I saw the pictures and I was like, hey, I reached out to her inbox. I was like, hey, how's she doing? And she was receptive. She talked to me. And she was like, thank you. She always told me thank you. And I will say that she always told me thank you for everything I did for her. Even before the DNA test, she would always tell me thank you and how much she appreciated me. And she was like, you know, she apologized and she said, thank you for everything. I don't want to get emotional. She was just like, thank you for everything you done. And basically, like, she made a mistake. And I was like, I forgive you. I've been young before. I forgive you. And I was like, if you don't mind, I still want to be in her life. And she was like, you know, absolutely. Like, she was like, you one of the only people house I even let her go to. She was like, I trust you with her. So, my husband at the time, he was still on this truck driver. So I talked to him about it. I was like, well, I want to go get her. And he was like, that's your decision. That's on you. I don't want nothing to do with that. He was like, I know you had built a bond with her. I don't want nothing to do with that. And my family, they was like, for what? Like, what you want to do? That ain't his baby, da, 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 da. But I just wasn't cut like that. You know, I had built the bond with this child. I wasn't cut like that. I remember my mama telling me, like, my mama discouraging me from doing it. I was like, well, mama, I'm not cut like you. Like, I just couldn't, like, when you love a child, how can you just walk away like that, you know? So I went and got her, and she was bigger, and of course, she didn't remember me, but she fell back in love with me. So I would still go get her and buy her stuff. I wouldn't get her as much as I was when, you know, I thought it was my husband baby, but I would still go get her. And even in this house right now, she's been to this house here that I'm in, and I've only been here, 4 months. She's been here. She stayed the night with me. She calls me her godmom. I call her my goddaughter. Like, we still keep in contact. And I still truly love her. And her mom knows that, like, I truly love her. And I have no hate, no animosity towards her mom. I think we all make mistakes when we grow up. I did eventually leave that nigga. Yeah, that nigga took me through too much. I did eventually leave him. And I think that it did kind of, like, it caused some trauma within me. Like, that was very hard to go through. I don't even think she realized, even if she see this video, she probably realized it now. I don't even think she realized, like, what that did to me. It was very, very, very hard to go through. But we get along. Like, we don't have no beef. Like, I follow her on Instagram. She follow me. I swipe up on her story. She swipe up on mine. Matter of fact, I just sent her a message a couple of days ago. Like, we have absolutely no beef between us. I could get her when I can't anymore, because they moved really, really far away, like, out of the state. But I was able to get her whenever I wanted to, and I just thank her mama for allowing me to still be in her life, you know. But yeah, we went through all that, and it wasn't even his baby. And that's how I found out my husband had a baby on me. So comment down below. Let me know y'all thoughts. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know if y'all want to see more story times. That's my story. That's my truth, unfortunately. But I'm in a much better place now. I'm happy. My husband now, he is amazing. I don't think we would ever go through anything like that. And like I said, my ex-husband, he's a great father. He just wasn't a great husband. He's a great father to his kids. And this video is like no slight to him. This is just my truth. Or whatever. I ain't trying to, like, bash him or no hate binge, no shit like that. Like, we ain't beefing or nothing like that. It's just my story, you know. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. If you got to this part of the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.